So who is the brand new Yeti LTe for, and how is this bike so fast out on the trails? Yeah. What's up, you guys? Mo Awesome from Awesome MTB. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a very exciting day because Yeti Cycles has finally launched the brand new Yeti LTe. Now, I've been putting this bike through the paces over the last few weeks. This thing has been such a fast ripper. There's gonna be so much information that I think you guys are gonna wanna know about this bike. We also have plans to do a long-term review on the Yeti LTe, so stay tuned for that. So what is the Yeti LTe? Now, the Yeti LTe is gonna be a full power offering from Yeti Cycles that's definitely a little bit race driven. You have 160 millimeters of rear travel, 170 millimeters of front travel, 64-degree head angle, and a few different adjustments that you can make on the bike to really dial in ride feel when you're out on the trails. Now, a couple of standout features with the Yeti LTe. The first is going to be that motor. As you guys can tell, it has a Bosch motor on it, so the new Performance CX on this build, as well as a race on another version. You also have their Kiox display up front, super big, really bright, and a lot of information. Now, that motor is 750 watts and 100 Newton meters with the update, and all of the builds will be coming with an 800 watt-hour battery. We also have that Yeti Sixfinity suspension design. I fell in love with the Sixfinity on the MTE early this year. That is their super light offering. And I'm really excited to have spent more time on the Sixfinity suspension platform. I think it is a very refined suspension platform and probably one of the better ones out on the market. The bike also features 3 different progression settings on that rear shock, as well as the ability to run this in a mullet. So this is gonna be 27.5-inch rear wheel compatible. So you do have a flip chip there to dial in that geometry for that. Now, the Yeti LTe is going to be offered in 3 different builds. This is the T3 XO build. I'm 6'2" for reference, and this is a size extra large. In the T3 XO build, we have a Fox 38 fork up front with a brand new Fox Float X2 rear shock. We have a SRAM XO transmission drivetrain, a Reverb AXS dropper post with a WTB Solano saddle. Now, up front, we do have Yeti's own carbon handlebars. These are gonna be the new carbon handlebars from them with 35mm rise. We have a Bergtech stem and ODI grips. For stopping power, we have SRAM Mavens. And for the wheels, we have a DT Swiss 1700 carbon wheel set. And as you guys can tell, this also has radial tires. This is gonna be coming stock with radial tires in all 3 builds. We have the Magic Mary Trail up front, and we have an Albert Gravity in the rear. Personally, I'm still on the fence on these radial tires. We'll touch on why a little bit later in this video. And like I said, stay tuned for a long-term review on the Yeti LTe. This is definitely my first impressions over the last month of testing this bike. We're gonna hit the trail, show you guys how this rides in Phoenix, Arizona, on the trail and show you guys how this thing rides. Now, before we get into the review, I just want to take a quick second and thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Cycle Limited. If you didn't know, Cycle Limited is your go-to online retailer for certified pre-owned bikes and gear, all at unbeatable prices. They work directly with manufacturers to offer the best deals on top-tier road, MTB, gravel, and e-bikes, plus parts and accessories. Every pre-owned bike is professionally inspected, tuned, and ready to ride. They also are able to get direct manufacturer pricing, so there is no middle person. Just great deals like these Maxxis Minion tires or race-face turbine cranks, which are a steal right now. Once again, not only can you get some insane deals on bikes, but they also ship within the same day. The bikes come very well packaged, and you can have them built up in no time. It's awesome seeing how much care they put into packaging their bikes, and the bikes are exactly how the listing shows them. In addition to fast and secure shipping, they also offer hassle-free returns, and international shipping is coming soon. They have a rad bike quiz finder on their website as well, and is awesome the way to narrow down their huge selection of available bikes to figure out what works for you and your price point. Cycle Limited also owns every bike they sell, ensuring top-tier quality and a worry-free buying experience. Once again, some of the deals on their site right now on certified pre-owned bikes as well as brand new bikes are absolutely insane. I'll go ahead and link some of our favorites in the description of our video. Once again, we can't recommend Cycle Limited enough, whether you're in the market for a pre-owned bike, a new bike, or some components, and you want to save a ton of money. Highly recommend checking out Cycle Limited. Thank you to Cycle Limited for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back into the review. What's up, you guys? Welcome to South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona. We have been here for the last few weeks testing a ton of bikes, both cross country and e-bikes, and I am so stoked to finally share the Yeti LTe, which launched today. I've been putting this bike through the paces over the last few weeks and I have been blown away. Yeti absolutely knocked it out of the park with this full power e-machine. As you guys will see today, it is going to be a very bumpy test ride because it is very rocky out here. We are in EMTB Plus mode, and that is because we do have a Bosch motor on here. I really like this EMTB Plus mode. We'll talk more about that later, but it really does adapt to how you're pedaling out on the trails. And we're making our way up. What a great climber. The chunky line, nice. It's been so fun playing around with different lines. It's definitely gotta be on your A game when you're out here, because man, it is sharp. You don't wanna crash. And the Yeti LTe has been very confident inspiring. How's it going? One thing that I like about the power output on the Bosch motors is, once again, in that EMTB Plus mode, it has a very controlled power actuation, where the race mode is also really nice for getting to the trailhead or you have some moves. I actually think that EMTB Plus has been my go-to. It just feels a little bit more refined power-wise in that high output to where it doesn't get that kick. But yeah, overall the traction with the Sixfinity, pretty insane on the Yeti platform, and I've been loving it in the tech. A little bit of downhill while we still make our way to climb after, and I've been slowly trying to learn where all of the rock gaps are. Riding with my buddy Rob while we're out here has been helpful, but overall, you do not want to make a mistake out here. The downhill now, and once again, just as chunky and technical, the Yeti MTE is so confident through it all. And even, I would say, the kind of bigger drop, they have a lot of huck to flats out here. I would say a very controlled suspension feel. Now I'm in the middle setting when it comes to progression. There's 3 different progression settings, and I feel like that balance works really well for me. Stay tuned for a longer term review where I break down all the other settings, and we'll talk more about it later as well. Now, a lot of you guys are probably here for the descent and how the LTE descends, so I'm gonna give you guys what you want, and it's gonna be a technical one. This is one of the more infamous sections in South Mountain. The waterfall's right down here and through the chunk. Man, it's so controlled. That wasn't all the downhill. We still got a ton more to go where that came from. This section, you wanna be a little bit more careful of where you put that front wheel, because there's a lot of cactuses and sharp rocks and loose washes too, which is where that slightly longer chainstay comes into play. The bike feels so planted in those looser corners, and I am very much so enjoying it. Hey, power up, power down. Those are kind of some of the local lines they've been showing me. Once again, I think the thing that most surprises me about the LTE, and I keep coming back, I feel like I sound like a broken record, is that versatility. I really didn't think a bike that was a little bit more race inspired would do as well out here at South Mountain, because I mean, this is as far from race inspired terrain as possible, but it is so at home here, which is pretty interesting. Okay, let's see if I can make this. This is always the tricky one, without scratching their bike. Up and over, nice. Oh, yes. Bottom bracket test, up, down, and all around. Nice. Through here, awesome. And then right through here. Hell yeah. How's it going? YouTuber. How you doing? It's probably one of my favorite sections because you have a little bit of technical uphill. So through here, nice and controlled. Up here, I like that stack height. Come up here, and then tight and twisty down here. You gotta make this corner. Come through. Awesome with the LTE. And then one more little roll here before doing more of that over here. What an amazing place to test bikes. I really do like testing out here because I feel like it does expose what is a good and not good bike. And with so much testing coming soon to you guys, just stay tuned. I feel like this is a good place to do it. Now, this is where a lot of suspension testing has been happening because there's so much, like flats, You have a lot of chunk, a lot of square edges, just a lot of sections to really put bikes through the paces. The LTE is so composed. Oh my God, insane. And we don't even have the podium on it yet. Now we're not out of the woods just yet. There's still a ton of chunk coming through. And this is where the maneuverability aspect is going to come into play. This is very tight, twisty with drops. And man, as you guys can tell, very composed feel to the LTE. I attribute, like I said, a lot of that to Yeti going with that Sixfinity. This feels controlled at all speeds, good amount of traction. Here, I don't really know what the line is still down here. I just go down this chunk and super composed. What a great ride on the LTE, guys. Let's get back and talk about it. Hopefully you enjoyed that ride on the Yeti LTE out here at South Mountain. This place is so awesome for e-bike testing because there really is a wide range of trails. You have everything from very shaly descents to a lot of tech moves. And I feel like the Yeti LTE surprised me most in how at home it felt out here given its race-inspired nature. So let's talk about some stuff that I absolutely love about the Yeti LTE and some stuff that I didn't necessarily love. The first thing that I love is how this thing feels out on the trails. It has a very composed, racy element to it, and it really does make you want to go faster. I attribute a lot of that to the geo. The head angle isn't too crazy at about 64 degrees, but combine that with a slightly longer stays on there, so about that 449, and it has a very balanced feel out on the trails, especially at speed. I would also say the stack height on this is slightly on the lower side. Even though they did increase the stack height over the previous iteration of this bike, it still feels like in comparison to some other bikes in the similar travel category, that stack height a little on the lower side. So it just kind of gives you this let's go fast mentality on the downhills. And it was truly mind-blowing how much this made me feel like a racer. Now, another thing that I absolutely love about the Yeti LTE is that suspension platform. I definitely think that Sixfinity suspension design is going to be one of my favorite out there. It almost feels like a high performance version of DW Link, and I absolutely love DW Link. Get that playful poppy feel you want out of a suspension platform, but you still get a little bit of added traction and control, especially deep into the stroke. The fact that you're also able to play around with the progression settings on that rear shock, it's pretty awesome, especially that you get 3 settings, because a lot of bikes currently on the market give you 2 progression settings. I feel like that third just really helps you dial it in exactly where you're riding. I feel like that's going to come back to that race element. I feel like Yeti knows there's going to be a lot of people that want to be racing EMTBs, and this is definitely going to be a strong contender there. Now, another thing that I absolutely love about the Yeti LTE is that precise feel out on the trails. And the word here that I would use is probably high performance. It just feels like everything is exactly where it needs to be and the tolerances are insanely tight. And you definitely get a very high performance ride feel out on the trail, especially when things get rowdy. Out here in Phoenix, Arizona, if there's a small weak spot in your bike, this place will make it apparent. It is just so rough and rowdy, and constantly I was blown away at how stiff, precise, and quiet the Yeti LTE felt out on the trails. And another thing that I absolutely love about the Yeti LTE, and this is gonna be a little bit superficial, is how it looks. I actually think this is the best looking e-bike on the market, and Yeti is no stranger to making good looking bikes. If you just look at it, it just looks like a bike that you want to hop on, ride. Besides the actual lines of the bike, I also think the paint job, how they were able to do that Yeti turquoise, but then kind of go with a little bit of a raw carbon finish down here. It's still a gloss on this build. And overall, like I said, this is one of the best looking e-bikes to me. What are some things that I don't necessarily love about the Yeti LTE that I think you might want to be aware of? The first is going to be that race-inspired nature you get on this bike. It really does make you feel like you want to just push it out on the trails, and the faster you go, the more comfortable this bike gets. If you are looking for something a little bit more on the maneuverable side, or if you want to have a little bit more of a playful element to your e-bike out on the trails, ride a lot more steep, chunky, tight, twisty tech, definitely think there might be some other e-bikes on the market in this travel category that you might want to consider. If you want to see those comparisons made between this and the Shuttle, as well as a few other e-bikes, stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe because we have a comparison test coming out soon. Another thing I didn't get along with on the Yeti LTE, and I still need to put more time on this, are these radial tires. So I actually have these on 2 bikes right now. These are carbon wheels, and I have another bike with alloy wheels with the radials. So far, I'm not the biggest fan of the radial side, but stay tuned for a long-term review. And the last thing that you might want to keep in mind with the Yeti LTE are the build options are somewhat limited. You do only have 3, and if you want that race motor, you do have to get the highest end version of the LTE. Now, in terms of the Bosch Performance CX motor, I really do like this drive unit, especially paired with that Kiox display. That display unit is really bright, and there's also a lot of stats that can come through there. I'm doing some big adventures out here in South Mountain, strictly in the EMTB Plus mode to see range, and you actually get a decent amount of range in that EMTB Plus mode. And yeah, overall, I really do like the power output there. So So who is the brand new Yeti LTe for, and how is this bike so fast out on the trails? I would say those two questions go hand in hand. The race element to this LTE, I think, is what makes it so unique out of the e-bike offerings. It has a very let's go fast mentality out on the trails. It really has made me feel like a better rider than I actually am. The confidence that the Yeti LTE has given me out on the trails, especially when the pace has picked up, has been mind-blowing. I attribute a lot of that to that balance geo. I really do love that chainstay length on here. I love that balance of front and rear stability. On top of that, that 650 suspension platform continues to blow me away at how high performance it feels out on the trails. It really is clear to me that Yeti has spent so much time dialing in this bike to make sure it is one of the fastest out on the markets, and that has been an awesome thing to experience. Now, if you're a rider that appreciates a little bit more of a playful feel from your e-bike, or you're riding a lot more steep, slow tech, you might want to look at some other e-bike offerings. We do have that e-bike test coming out with a couple of bikes with Bosch motors on here. In terms of my thoughts on the actual Bosch unit, I really do like that EMTB Plus. I like how controlled that power output feels, and I also like that new kiosk display. I definitely think that is going to be a necessity. However, with that being said, I still think I prefer the race motor, and that comparison will be coming soon, like I said, so be sure to subscribe to the channel to understand why, and also stay tuned for a long-term review of the Yeti LTE. Let me know in the comment section if I didn't answer any of you guys' questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time, you guys, ride awesome.